your number 3, Nathan?
Yeah, so my number 3 is something already mentioned in a previous section, Journey to Italy by Roberto Rossellini. This is a very important film for all sorts of reasons.
Nice.
Historically, it was very influential on the French New Wave, and then through that, through lots of other film movements. But I think it was, I forget which critics at Cahiers du Cinema, again, future New Wave directors, someone coined the way of saying this film was basically the birth of the modern art film. I can't remember who said that, but I think it really holds up. The reason that it's kind of come to be seen that way is because here you have this film that is coming out of a neorealist background with Rossellini, but he's not making a neorealist film. It's not about it's not following neorealist values in terms of being about like the common man against the world or this whatever. It's a very bourgeois drama. It's kind of a melodrama, I guess you could say, but it's this very closed in drama about a couple, middle-aged couple, one played by George Saunders. Some of you might know him from the Hollywood classic All About Eve. He plays the narrator and the sort of like the guy who's observing all the drama happening. Very distinctive voice, like the most imperious British voice you've heard of 1950s Hollywood. And he plays the husband, and then Ingrid Bergman, one of the greatest stars of all time.
And arguably one of her greatest performances of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I won't go into all the backstory of the film. You can look it up, but there's a long sordid story of, she was having an affair with Rossellini. They lived together for years. They might have even have had a civil marriage. I can't remember, but it was a big scandal in the early 50s. But out of that, it's kind of an incredible story. They produced this kind of spiritual trilogy, which Journey to Italy is the third film of that trilogy, or it's one of the several made in that time. But it kind of caps the spiritual trilogy. All of these other films involve Ingrid Bergman in different kinds of characters having these kind of encounters with seeking the divine. And Journey to Italy, this couple ends up in Naples and right on the edge of Pompeii, of course, where the excavation is happening. And they're going through this marriage crisis. They're not sure if they're going to stay together. And the film is basically kind of looking at their marriage, but then also looking at kind of the setting they're in and the way in which modern man is uncovering the ruins of Pompeii. And I don't know, I can't really do a description that gives it justice, but it's the birth of the modern art film, that it's kind of taking this very dramatic problem of like, will they stay together? What's going on with them? But it's also placing that up against this kind of more intellectual meditation on like, what is love? What does love mean in the face of disaster, like a volcano going on? Like it's this very kind of rarefied juxtaposition of ideas with drama. And that's kind of where, from that point, you start to see that happen more and more in the European sphere and then elsewhere. But on top of all that, that's kind of more of a historical case for it. It's at the heart of it. None of that would matter if it weren't at its heart a deeply moving spiritual film. And it's a film about this couple trying to recover like the sacrament, basically the sacrament of matrimony. And I don't want to say too much more because it's best to be discovered.
I think that the film is almost as miraculous as Andrei Rublev, because it's able to accomplish like a sort of cinematic feat at a certain pivotal climactic moment that just leaves you feeling very like,